Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take your sources, unpack them, and really pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge and insight for you. Today, we're diving into something that, well, it touches a lot of lives, the whole journey of weight loss. Specifically, we're looking at it through the lens of newer medications, things like semaglutide. But, this isn't just about the science side of things. It's really about the human experience underneath it all. We've got some really insightful stuff to work with today. There's the Dan Hollis Semaglutide Manifesto, which is quite something, and a very personal account called Entry #2, the morning her reflection didn't recognize her. Plus another piece on weight loss setbacks, specifically what Dan Hollis taught someone about them. So our mission really is to explore this unique Dan Hollis philosophy, understand the maybe surprising emotional side of significant weight loss, and see how setbacks aren't always failures. Sometimes they're part of the learning curve.
Yeah, and what's so striking, I think, is how Hollis shifts the whole conversation. It's not just physiology, battling hunger or needing a willpower. It moves into something much more holistic.
Yeah.
He really brings in the complex dance between your biology, yeah, but also your emotions, your history, even your sense of who you are. It feels less like just losing weight and more like reclaiming yourself in a way.
Absolutely. I mean, that very first line in the manifesto, this is not a drug journey, it's a human one.
Yeah.
That hits hard. What does that actually mean when we're talking about a drug like semaglutide?
Well, it means thinking of semaglutide as this incredibly powerful tool, right? But it's not the whole story. It's not magic. It does amazing things like quieting that constant food noise in the brain. It changes how you process hunger, fullness, reward, which for many people is just incredibly freeing, liberating. But like the manifesto says, it can also be kind of terrifying
Terrifying. How so?
because it pulls the rug out from under some really deep-seated patterns and coping mechanisms. So the human journey part is about wrapping that tool in comprehensive support, education, real human guidance, not just handing over the medication.
Okay, okay. And that leads right into this other point he makes, which really made me pause. Willpower was never the problem. That feels huge for so many people who've blamed themselves for years. But doesn't it, I don't know, sound a bit like letting people off the hook?
That's a fair question. And it's exactly where Hollis pushes back against the standard narrative. He argues that willpower in the long run tends to fail, not because you're weak or lazy, but because you're pitting it against, well, powerful biology, deep emotions, habit loops wired in over decades.
Right. It's like bringing a knife to a gunfight.
Exactly. Willpower is finite. It gets exhausted.
Yeah.
So what Hollis says actually works isn't just gritting your teeth harder. It's insight, understanding your own patterns. It's structure, having a supportive environment. And it's tools, practical things that work with your biology, not against it. So you sort of bypass the need for that constant willpower battle.
That makes sense. And building on that biological side, the manifesto also stresses this is emotional weight as much as it is physical weight. We know intellectually that food gets tangled up with anxiety, loneliness, boredom, feeling unsupported. How does Hollis help people navigate that when suddenly that food crutch isn't working the same way?
Right, because the semaglutide can dial down the physical hunger, the cravings, but those underlying emotional triggers, they're still there. So if you don't address those, you might just feel adrift,
Yeah.
or the weight comes back when the medication stops. Hollis's system is really designed for what he calls an emotional recalibration. It's like your internal emotional thermostat needs resetting now that food isn't the default regulator. You learn or relearn how to handle those feelings directly.
Which brings us right to Adrian's story. Wow. That piece, the morning her reflection didn't recognize her. It describes this moment she's lost significant weight, looks in the mirror, and feels not triumph, but like she's disappearing, a real disconnect.
hmm And that's what Dan Hollis calls identity lag. It's such a powerful concept. Your physical body can change, sometimes quite rapidly with these medications,
Yeah.
much faster than your internal story, your sense of self, can actually catch up.
So the crisis isn't the weight gain, it's actually after the weight loss.
Often, yeah.
Yeah.
The real internal crisis can unfold then. The old hunger is gone, okay, but so are the old rituals. Maybe the way you use food for comfort or clothes to hide or even humor to deflect. All those coping strategies built around the weight, they start to dissolve, and that can leave you feeling, well, unrecognizable. Adrienne wasn't just mourning the pounds she lost. She was, in a way, mourning the person who carried them, the one who knew how to operate in the world with that specific armor, as Hollis puts it.
And Dan's response wasn't, but you look great or you should be proud. He just listened. How did that listening actually help her?
He validated her experience first. He told her, The weight loss is just the clearing, like clearing away brush. But then he added, the becoming takes longer. He gave her permission to feel lost, basically, to be awkward in this new shape, this new reality, to not know who she was yet. And then they did this work of rewriting the names of things.
Rewriting names, what does that mean?
So feelings she might have labeled shame about her past self, they reframed as memory. The intense desire for control became gentle curiosity. What felt like harsh discipline transformed into finding alignment.
Shifting the emotional charge.
Exactly. It allowed Adrienne to start building a new narrative without feeling like she had to completely reject or destroy the old version of herself. The mirror didn't change overnight, but her relationship to it did. She started, as the piece says, standing there longer, greeting herself differently.
That idea of identity lag and becoming makes me think about setbacks, too. The other piece we read, Weight Loss Setbacks, what Dan Hollis taught me had this line, most people don't relapse into hunger, they relapse into confusion. That really flips the script on how we usually think about, falling off the wagon.
It totally does. And this is central to Hollis's view. Setbacks aren't seen as failures. They're not signs you're lazy or didn't try hard enough. They are, in his framework, predictable. Normal, even. They're signals, basically. Your body and brain trying to figure things out, to recalibrate. He uses this metaphor. Weight loss isn't a straight line up. It's more like a spiral staircase.
A spiral staircase.
Yeah, so you might feel like you're passing the same window again, like you're going in circles. But each time you pass it, you're actually higher up. You're gaining perspective, even if it feels familiar.
So hitting a plateau isn't like, oh no, it stopped working. It's more like your body saying, hang on, let me catch up. Asking for grace, as the article put it.
Exactly. It's your body consolidating, adapting.
Yeah.
And those old cravings that might pop up, Hollis reframes them as memory, not weakness. It's like an echo of an old neural pathway, not a command you have to obey.
That's a much kinder way to look at it.
It is. The medication creates this amazing space, right, that quiets the biological noise. But Hollis teaches you how to use that quiet space productively. So a setback becomes a question, not a judgment. Instead of, oh, I blew it, it's, okay, what am I actually feeling right now? What do I really need? Who am I choosing to become in response to this? It allows learning to happen through the stumble.
This whole approach feels much more sustainable, which leads to another point from the manifesto. Fast weight loss without metabolic pacing is a trap. Why is the speed of loss so important?
Because if you lose weight too quickly, your body can kind of freak out metabolically. Your metabolism can slow down dramatically. You also risk losing lean muscle mass along with fat, and muscle is crucial for maintaining a healthy metabolism long term. So you lose weight fast, but you set yourself up for rebound weight gain later.
The yo-yo effect.
Precisely. Hollis emphasizes pacing, carefully managing the rate of loss, making sure you get enough protein, integrating habit changes steadily so that the body adapts in a way it can actually maintain. It's about building a metabolism that supports the new weight, not one that's fighting to get back to the old one.
And maybe the point that looks furthest ahead, and might surprise some listeners, is the real work begins after the medication. Because semaglutide isn't usually forever, right?
Right. That's a huge piece of this. You need a plan for what happens when the medication stops.
Yeah.
Because without that plan, without having built new habits and coping skills during the time the medication gave you that space, well, the old appetite signals can come back. The old emotional triggers are still there. The old patterns can reactivate pretty quickly.
So the medication phase is almost like training wheels for building the long-term skills.
That's a great way to put it. It provides the support needed to build sustainable habits, a new relationship with food, and stronger emotional regulation skills that can stand on their own after the injections stop. It's about cementing those changes.
Okay, so wrapping up these core ideas from Hollis, he asserts, there is no shame here, only process. That sounds incredibly freeing, especially for people who've carried weight-related shame for, well, many decades. But how does someone actually internalize that? If shame has been your companion for so long, does saying no shame just make it disappear, or is that a process too?
Oh, it's definitely a process. It's not like flipping a switch. I think Hollis's role and the power of his approach is in consistently resetting expectations, both external and internal. He helps you really understand that you're not broken, you're not lazy, you haven't failed. You've been navigating a really complex interplay of biology, psychology, and frankly, a culture that often benefits from keeping people confused and feeling bad about themselves.
Right.
So no shame, only process means learning to view everything, the successes, the plateaus, the setbacks, as data, as information, as part of the journey. It's about consciously letting go of self-blame and cultivating curiosity instead. Okay, what can I learn from this?
And his final point here. This is a conversation, not a prescription, which feels like it ties everything together. It's about relationship.
Exactly. Relationship to food, yes, but also relationship to your own body and relationship to the person or people guiding you. He says you're not starting over. You're starting right. For someone who feels like they've failed a dozen diets, that's incredibly powerful.
Starting right.
Yeah. It implies alignment, not just rules. It's about giving you a map that actually makes sense for your terrain, a guide who walks with you, and maybe a community too. Not just saying, eat this, don't eat that. It's about ensuring you feel supported and equipped with tools that genuinely fit how your body and brain work. So you're finally starting from a place of understanding, not shame.
So, thinking about all this, what does it really mean for you, listening right now, maybe exploring this whole area of weight loss or medication? It seems clear the Dan Hollis approach really goes beyond the usual narrative. It's digging into a much deeper, more personal kind of transformation. It's about identity, emotion, self-acceptance, not just the number on the scale.
Which I think raises a really important question for anyone listening. Have you ever looked in the mirror, maybe after losing weight or even just contemplating it, and felt that weird disconnect, that sense of not quite recognizing yourself? Or has your journey felt like just one false start after another, loaded with self-blame? If so, maybe. Maybe the key isn't solely about changing your body. Maybe it's also about giving yourself the time and the grace to build a new, more honest relationship with yourself.
That's a powerful thought to end on, that maybe the old consuming hunger is gone or lessening, but something more honest, more you, is actually arriving in its place. And perhaps that process, that journey of learning to truly belong to yourself again, as Hollis might put it, maybe that's the real measure of success here. Thanks for deep diving with us today.